reception.
In the Southern Reception.
Yep.
In the Youth
CYA.
Authority. First day. Okay, so, well, let me back up just a little bit so you get a little broader picture. By the time I hit the Y, I had already been in and out for quite a long time. I talked about a couple of stories of getting into trouble, and even like story where my mom had the opportunity to get me out of jail, and she's just like, "Nah, can you keep him?" You know, shit. Damn. So yeah.
That's on the podcast. You talked about that on the podcast. Huh?
I talked about it a little bit on the podcast, and then I had already done a story with your Uncle X where I bring that up.
Oh, okay.
So as a kid, I got in a lot of trouble, and I ended up catching a case for home invasion, robbery, assault with a firearm, burglary, and kidnapping. And and I was 16 years old. By then, the courts had they just had enough with me. You know, I ended up getting tried as an adult, and then in my hearing or in my sentencing, it turns out that the only institution that they could send a juvenile in the prison system was a prison called Tehachapi. Tehachapi was the only place in the prison system at the time that could house juveniles, and Tehachapi was over full. So the
Tehachapi is overfilled,
and they're sending the overfill to the youth authority. So that's how I ended up in the Y. I was actually trying to avoid the Y.
What's the difference between Tehachapi and CYA?
Tehachapi is a California correctional facility.
Okay.
It's a prison. But it's the only prison that was capable, or for whatever reason, that they were sending juveniles that were tried as an adult.
Okay.
So there was only so many beds available there.
If you couldn't get in there, they sent an LO overflow.
To the Y.
All right.
So if you were getting tried as an adult, it was definitely for the more serious crimes, and you were getting M numbers. So I went to YA as an MD number. That was
particularly violent.
I don't know. I don't know what. Well, regular YA numbers were like 8. I think it was like 8 2s were YA numbers when I hit the Y. So it'd be like 8 2 3 6 9.
Okay.
Whatever, that was your number. But for the adult court cases, we were hitting the Y, and they were giving us M numbers. So I had a MD number. I know somebody with a MC number who was there years before I had got there. So yeah. So I hit the Y as an M number. So I had an M number, and I had a prison number, a CDC number, because I was housed in the youth authority, but the youth authority didn't really have jurisdiction over me. The California Department of Corrections had jurisdiction over me. Okay. So I walked in a youth authority with like a date. On this day, I'm out of here. And there was nothing that like the youth authority could do to, you know what I mean, to stop that.
Damn, so you were trying to avoid going to the Y.
Yeah.
Why? It's like you already hear the stories.
Yeah. So in the halls, you would hear the horror stories of the Y, and
what when you heard the stories, which one stood out to you the most?
I had a roommate in West Valley Juvenile Hall. And he was in Nellis. He had done time in Nellis, and he was out for whatever amount of time, and then was going back to the Y on a probation violation. So he was floating through the halls real quick, and he ended up being my roommate. So, just some of the fucking crazy brawls that he was talking about that would happen. And some of his stories about like, yo, this is what Nellis is like. Like he was all pumped up, like, or at least that's the way he made it seem. Like he was kind of excited to go back. He was like, yeah, man, I'm gonna go get busy. And da 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 da. There's some people that I fucking wanted to get. I never got at them, and blah 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 blah. So just his telling me like what that was like, and then my sister's boyfriend at the time had done time in the Y, and he went to Nellis, and him telling me kind of his stories, like I was already very aware of what it was like. You know what I mean? And you know what you had to. What's the best way to put it? Like what you had to live up to in order to survive this. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna have to take, bro, whatever you're doing right there in the fucking halls, you're about to take it to the next level.
What's
you know?
Expected of you?
Yeah. So the youth authority is like there's a lot of madness that goes on all the time. It's like a non-stop 1-on-1s, 2-on-2s, little melees, group disturbances, like, but just constantly. It's a constant shit going on. You know, where like in the joint doesn't happen as much. You know what I'm saying? When it happens, it's big. Whatever's gonna happen is kind of big. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, it's not like every day. You know what I'm saying? There's a little bit more. You're dealing with more mature people, a little more relaxed. You know what I mean? People that are just trying to do their time or whatever. So it's not so much. It's not so hectic. But in the Y, you're dealing with like teenagers.
What's
you know,
the age range?
Anywhere between like 12 to 25.
And you're 16. You're right in the middle.
Yeah. I'm right in the middle, right smack in the middle. So I make my way through. I get sentenced. They send me to YA. I go from Etowanda, West Valley, which was like a little super maximum. That little facility for being juvenile hall was crazy. It was like a stop, like a pit stop in San Bernardino for the kids that were gonna get sent straight to the joint or going to the Y. We all ended up at this little super maximum spot that was only 2 units. Everything was glass. Everything was like brand new in there. Yeah, like a different level of juvenile hall. You know what I'm saying? Like this was definitely like a get you ready, get you mentally prepared for where you're about to go. You know, kind of spot. So I ended up getting transferred from there to the Southern Reception Center in Norwalk.
That's Nellis.
That's not Nellis.
Oh.
Nellis is a different place. So I got to the Southern Reception in Norwalk. This is where everybody in Southern California, if you go to the Y, this is your pit stop. It's a 90-day, 23-in-1 program. Okay. So, which means for 90 days, for the next 3 months, or sometimes they could even get you out of there a lot quicker than that. But, you know, for at least 90 days, you know, you're going to be housed here on a 23-in-1 program, which means you're spending your 23 hours a day in your room, 1 hour recreation a day. And you're doing that for until they figure out where you're going to go, where they're going to send you. Okay. And so I hit there, right? And that place reminded me of, like, I call it the dungeon. You know what I'm saying? Like it reminded me walking in there the first day. You get off, you go do your medical, and you get.
Are you arriving with a group of?
Yeah. Who did I get there with? No, I got there by myself. I didn't get there on a bus. I got shipped out by myself. So I get there. There's other kids that got there, but I didn't get shipped there. I went on like a van, with 2 of the fucking guards from that little detention center. Yeah, on Etowanda and shit, the West Valley. And actually, it sits right across the street from the county jail. It's in the same lot. It's like right across the lot. So you have the big county jail right here, and then you have this like little itty bitty building right here. Well, that little building was a pit stop for all these kids that were like getting charged for murder or about to go do real time. You know what I mean? So
you're only supposed to stay there for a few days.
Not there. That was just a little pit stop. So there wasn't that many kids there.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? There wasn't like there was maybe like 25 of us on one side, 25 of us on the other, and that was it. You know? So this was just like a little shipping. So when I got shipped out by myself. Yeah. And then so I arrived there, but there's other kids getting there on the same day. Okay. And we all kind of get ran down about like I remember one of the staff telling us like how many of y'all think you could fight? And then everybody kind of like, I could fight. I'm like, okay, we'll see. You know, kind of like, this is what you walked into. Yeah. And give you a little bit of the rundown of like, you know, don't let nobody punk you. You know, we ain't here to save you.
That's before you even got into yourself.
Yeah, way before you got it. This is like at the gate before they let you in. We're in the parking lot. Yeah. And he's just kind of giving us a rundown before they bring you in. Like, you're in here with the big boys now. Like, you know, da-da-da-da. This is what you're about to go into.
What were you feeling like right in that moment?
There was a little bit of fear. There was a little bit of excitement. You know what I'm saying? There was a little bit of like like that. I knew I was going into the unknown. This is uncharted territory. This is a new thing, because I was used to what the halls were like, and I'm good. You know what I'm saying? You sent me to Juvenile Hall, whatever. You know, I was in and out of the halls a lot. So, but this is on another level, and I knew I was walking into something that was for real, like for real. So the consequences, the consequences of you know, missteps and all of that are far more severe. Yeah, 100 times. So we walk in, you go do all your medical shit, your little screening, and then you're in like this little white paper suit, and you got your box of whatever they allowed you to have, which wasn't much. You know what I'm saying? Maybe like a book or two, some letters, some paper, some stamps and envelopes, and like not much. You know what I'm saying? Maybe some pictures, whatever you had, but like magazines that you would have brought. In the halls, I had one of the staff bring me Che Guevara Revolutionary Life, the book. It's like a big ass, fat ass book, and that got snatched up. Yeah, so so you go through your whole screening process. They decide what units they're gonna send all you little motherfuckers on, right? We walk out, go to our unit. There was like 4 of us that walk into the unit that I ended up on, and they sit you in the day room. The supervisor at the time, or the lieutenant, or whatever the fuck, you know, it kind of runs down. This is what your movements are going to be like. When we tell you to shut the fuck up, you need to shut the fuck up. Just kind of laying out how he likes to run that facility. These are the chow movements. These are the times of this and that. You're going to shower like this. We're going to let you out. All of that. He's just kind of lacing us up. It's very grimy. It's like really poor lighting. And during the day room gets light. But the cells in the hallway are like dark all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's real eerie. It's real loud? Dark. Not at first. So, but it's like, it's grimy. You know what I'm saying? Shit looks like it hadn't been cleaned in forever. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's a particular smell to jail. You know, but yeah, it has that same kind of smell of the county jail kind of smell, you know, and so that's what. And the way the cells are, it's like 20. It's like a guard tower, control, and then one hallway that goes one way, and then one hallway that goes the other way, and then next to the control tower are the showers and some phones, and then it's like a day room. And all of that's kind of caged off. Like, they can cage one side, cage the other side, keep everybody from coming out at the same time. So only one side programs we're never all out at the same time. It's like A wing and then B wing. You know what I'm saying? But we're never all out at the same time. So there's very poor lighting because the cells face inward, and it's just like a long ass hallway with like 20 rooms on one side, 25 rooms on the other side. So you're walking in, you turn, you make that left turn. I make that left turn down the hallway. He tells me to go to room, I don't even remember, 17 or some shit like that. So it's like in the middle of this hallway. So I'm walking, and when they figure out that, oh, new cats are here, the fucking place erupts.
Oh, shit.
Fools start banging on the doors. It's like a little, there's a door with like a little slit and like some kind of wire mesh in between the fucking glass. So you really can't see too well. You know what I'm saying? Like you only get like a little bit of view of anything that fucking anything that walks by or whatever. And then you walking up, you can't really see too well like who's in here. You know what I'm saying? So, but all the doors, everybody gets on their door. This is what happens. So everybody got on their door and started banging on me.
Oh, like,
fucking Florencia. Everybody's fucking throwing up their hood as you're walking down this hallway. Everybody's banging on you. Everybody's asking where you from. They're kicking their fucking doors. They're trying to intimidate you. They're trying to see what they can get out of you. You know what I'm saying? Fucking put them in here. Put them in here. Somebody's yelling on the fucking end of the. Bring them in me. So I get to my cell and fucking nobody's in there. It's just me. Everybody else has cellies. Everybody went into a room with somebody. But since I'm an M number, they didn't give me a celly or anybody to fucking.
Did you know
they
that?
had to keep me up by myself. They were doing that with all the M numbers.
Did you know that though? Or
no, I didn't know that. I was expecting to like have to deal with somebody. So I'm walking into like this, like, okay, well, let's see what this is gonna be. You know what I'm saying? And he's asking me, "Do you bang? Who are your enemies?" Like the guard that's walking, that's gonna pop. Who are your enemies? Like, do you bang? Da 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 da. So I know that like I can't put you in here with this for him. I'm like, nah, I don't bang. You know what I'm saying? So to me, all of that like fucking gangbanging shit, it didn't really apply to me because I wasn't really from anywhere. You know what I mean? And going in, I was already like schooled on like just be yourself. Like don't try to be something that you're not, because that's not gonna end up well. These cats are gonna know right away that you're not what you say you are. So just be you. And that's kind of how I played it. You know what I mean? So I'm walking down, everybody's banging on me. Hey, where you from? Where you from? Where you from? I'm like, I don't bang. So I get to my little cell or whatever. I'm thinking like, man, I'm gonna have to deal with somebody. Nobody in there. Turns out they weren't fucking bunking M numbers with anybody. All these M numbers that were coming in were being separated in terms of like who they can sell them up with. So
what was your feeling as soon as you walked in?
And it's just
Ain't
like
nobody in there.
I'm like, oh, cool. yeah, absolutely, instantly, like, all right, cool. Door closes or whatever, and then dudes that are around me, hey, homie, where you from? Da, da, da. I'm not from anywhere. Da, da, da. And then fucking, you hear down the hall, yo, Aguilar, is that you? I'm like, yo, what's up? Who's that? And then it ends up being somebody I was in the halls with. Ended up being on that unit. Like, what's up, food? Don't trip, dog. I got some sofas over here. I'll shoot them over there. I'm like, cool. You know, cool. I know somebody here.
A little bit of familiarity.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, somebody that I was in the halls with is down there and knows who I am. I'm good. You know, so I end up posting up and coming out the very next day. So they didn't let me wreck that day. They didn't bring me out at all. You spend your first day like is I guess supposed to be like 24 hours. So they didn't let me wreck. I ended up coming out next day, kind of getting the rundown. All right, this is how it is here, dog. You know, like there's a bunch of rules. And there's a bunch of games that get played. You know, like
Did you know you were gonna be held for that one day?
What?
Like, you're saying like you went in that whole first day, you stay, you don't rent it anymore, you stay in your cell.
Yeah.
Did you know that was gonna happen, or were you
No, I wasn't sure, but I guess that's like a standard thing. So that was like a standard thing. So I ended up staying there, and it ends up being that like I stayed in this. It was supposed to be like a 3 month, like a 3 month transition spot because it's just a reception center. I was there for like 6 months, so I was in like a 23-in-1 program for damn near 6 months. You know, to the point where like some of the staff were like, "Fuck, are you still doing here?" Like they would go take like a couple days off, come back.
As if you had a
Yeah,
choice.
yeah, but they're like, "What the fuck?" Like why are you still here? And it was just like I guess a matter of like, there's only certain institutions that can house that they were sending M numbers to, and it was just a matter of like a bed opening up. So they had to keep me in, like, this is what I'm assuming, that they had to keep me in reception for longer than normal, pending only certain areas like they could actually send me to. So what they ended up doing is they sent me from southern reception to northern reception.
You're from the south.
And I'm from, yeah. So I guess that's how they worked their way around it. They shuffled me to another institution to show that, I guess, like, hey, he's not here. But it's just northern reception. So so we end up jumping on a bus. There's a bunch of us, bunch of dudes from the south that are on this bus headed north, and people are getting dropped off at other institutions, right? So right away I already knew that like once again, like, I'm not from nowhere. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not gonna pretend to be something that I'm not. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend to be a gangster and a Southsider and this, that, because it's a bigger dominant group when like that's not who I was on the street. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna pretend to be that, and I seen a lot of people kind of play their cards like that, and I didn't really have too much respect for those guys. You know what I'm saying? When I was in Southern Reception, if it's like a race thing, then I'm gonna jump because it's a race thing, not on some like Southsider Cholo shit. You know what I'm saying? But like, this is the environment that it is, and I'll jump. You know what I mean? So that's how it was. But up there now, it starts to get played around with like norteño, sureño, bulldogs, and all these little cars and clicas and organizations, and how shit is like way different. It's not a united raza like it is in southern institutions. Now this is like, you know, brown on brown and all kind of other shit. And on that note, like, I wasn't down with any of that. You know what I'm saying? Because like on the street, I was already politicized. You know what I mean? So I could see through like, yo, I'm not down with that. You know, and even on this like race shit, I really wasn't real too down with that either. But like, I knew that like, okay, that's the grain that like you just don't go against that grain, right? So yeah. So there's, you know, it's a balancing, but so I really didn't like the fact like the brown on brown politic game.
But you'll be found to be weak if you have any kind of extra empathy.
Not necessarily. No. In my experience, it wasn't necessarily like a show of weakness to be like, because there was fools from like South Central, fools from like, you know what I mean, like Watts, and fools from Compton, and those cats, a lot of those cats that grew up in communities where there was black people, used like nigga and terminology that was like closer, you know what I mean, to black culture than some of the cats that were there from East Los that didn't talk like that, you know what I mean, and didn't like that vibe and that whole like how we hold ourselves and how we dress and how we, you know, how we conduct ourselves is different, you know. So
in the movie American Me, that Edward James almost talk about the idea of class a lot. We had class, I think it goes back to like wherever they created that movie got that idea from in Sureños, the idea of like having class, I think is reflected in that behavior that's expected. You know?
So going up there, I knew I didn't want to play. I wasn't gonna play that. I wasn't gonna play that card. You know what I'm saying? And I knew what I was. You know, I'm fucking native.
Yeah.
So going up there, we have our own car. We have a native car, and that was what I chose to fucking
So a car
to roll
like,
with.
Car just like got part of that race.
Yeah. It was like when they hit me up, like, who are you? Where you from? What do you rap or whatever? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is who I am. This is where I'm from.
Yeah.
I rep native. I'm a native, homie. And if there's only like a handful of us, which there's always only just a handful of us, if there's any, then that's who I'm gonna back up to the fullest. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I end up in northern reception. So I'm on the way up, and everybody's talking about like, yo, we gotta stick together, and wherever we go, dog, fucking, if we need to get off, we're just gonna jump, and and this is the plan. So everybody's getting shipped to their institutions on the way up. We hit Preston. A couple of dudes get off the bus, but my name doesn't get called, and I knew this was my stop, or it was supposed to be my stop.
Yeah.
So the bus keeps rolling, and it's me and some other cat. And we're like, what the fuck? Where are we going? And he goes, oh, you two? You're going to northern reception. And I was like, what the fuck? Northern reception? Why would you send us to north? Like, I was like, oh, hell no. Because our fucking jumpsuits on the back say SRCC, Southern Reception, you know? So it's like they're going to know right away as soon as we get there that, like, we're from down south, you know? And I knew, like, right away that shit was going to be, like, problems. So we get there. The homie looks at me, and he's like, bro, you have my back, I got your back, you know, fuck it, whatever happens. And I'm like, man, I'm not even trying to, like, play this card, but I don't understand, like, what the fuck's going on, you know, where I'm going. So we end up getting up there, and I walk on, we go through, it's at night, so they give us some, like, little sandwiches, they run us through, like, the reception real quick, and they shoot us off to separate units. He goes to one unit, I go to a whole different unit. So it's like, now it's like by my lonesome. I'm walking in with my fucking box and a big ass tag on my back that says Southern Reception. I'm like, okay, well, it's nighttime. Hopefully everybody's down, and I can just like ski to my fucking room, bam, and then like figure all this out, right? So I walk in with like the whole day room in full. Yeah, everybody's eyes just turn around like, what the fuck? Who the hell is that? Bam. So I'm walking in, I have my box, and somebody right away like, hey, homie, where you coming from? Because it was like, you shouldn't be, like, why are you coming here new? Like, obviously in your little jumpsuit and shit, so you're just hitting this facility. What are you doing here this late? You know what I mean? It's like fucking 9 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night. What the fuck? They give me like, where you come from? And I'm like, fucking down south, Southern Reception. They're like, oh, and then right away they hear like, oh, fucking, you got a homie. It's telling like the other Southsider fools that are there like, oh, you got a homie right here. And there's like a little clique of like 5 Southsiders, and they're all on that unit. You know what I mean?
But they don't know you're running native.
They don't know I'm running native. They just, okay, I'm walking in from down south. Like, I'm actually from down south. Yeah. They're all cats that were banging Southside that were from Northern California.
Oh, shit.
You know what I'm saying? So they're like just a small little clique of fools that were running Southsider. And then here I walk on the lodge like I'm coming from like from the south. You know, I'm coming straight from fucking Southern Reception. So they're looking at me like, that's the, you know, that's the guy that like I'm gonna try to take orders from. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, there's a legit one. There's yeah. So right away, They feel like, okay, we got one more. We got one more on the team. Yeah. And then they hit me up later on that night, like, yo, where'd you come from? Blah, blah, blah. And like, fucking, right. They assume that, like, I'm running Southsider. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm like, nah, dog, I'm native. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, dog, I'm native. Like, I don't play that gangbanging shit on the street. Yeah. I'm not gonna pretend to play that shit in here. Yeah. You know what I mean? This is where I'm from. I'm born and raised in L.A., Pico Rivera. I mean, like, that's where I'm from. That's where my lineage comes from. But I'm native. Yeah. So that's what's up. And they're like, all right, cool. And they still shot me sopas and still kind of like, like, oh, all right, cool. Fucking, I guess you're not in the clica, but like, we're cool with you, dog, kind of shit. So yeah, I was sitting there for like probably like 2 weeks, and in Northern Reception, and then finally bed must have opened up in Preston, and that's how I landed in Preston, and that's what that experience was like.
What I really want to talk about, if you just give me one, is some of those rules, like some of the games that are played.
Oh.
What made you feel like, what the fuck, the most that you didn't expect in CYA that was happening in the halls?
A lot of things, bro.
The first thing that you were like, fuck, I gotta play this fucking shit?
See, it's an accumulation of things. You know what I mean? It's like, man, this too. Yeah. So, like a funny one is, you never let your ass cheeks touch the bowl of the toilet. So what you do is you take your shower sandals and you put them on the fucking on the bowl, and then you sit on that and you shit. So you're shitting on your shower shoes. What if you're not shitting on your shower. You're using that as a padding to keep your ass from touching, because your ass could never touch that bowl. So like, even if you had like diarrhea or whatever, and you just had to run over there and just let it loose, though, you better make sure that those fucking shower shoes, that your ass is not touching that bowl, dog. Because if you do, you're blown up and you're gonna get the chiquiazo.
Okay, so
you're gonna get dropped.
Your feet can't touch the floor either.
Your feet can't touch the floor.
So
your shoes can never touch your bed. Your spoon can never touch the table.
But rewind. I'm wearing my shower shoes. I gotta take a shit. What do?
You got 2 pairs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, fuck.
You better throw on your shoes. Wear your shoes.
Alright, yeah. So, so are fools walking around the yard with like shower shoes in their back pocket and shit?
No, usually like, because you're not.
You would go back to your cell.
Yeah, or you go back to the unit and take a shit. When you're back over there.
Damn.
So there's that. There's the spoon touching the table. Your spoon never touches the table. If it does, you gotta throw it away. If you use that spoon, then your mouth is blown up. You can potentially blow up other people's mouths if they eat after you. You know what I mean? So like by proxy, like I use a spoon to touch the table. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna eat out of this fucking noodles, whatever, bam, bam. So technically, my mouth is blown up. And then you don't know, but you walk up and like, yo, X, let me get some of that noodles, bro. All right, cool, here, bam. And I don't tell you, you know what I mean? Your mouth is blown up now. And then somebody seen that and was like, what the fuck? How you shower, you know what I'm saying? How you shower. You wash your ass and your dick last. Like as a standard, that's the last thing that you wash. You know what I mean?
If you wash that first,
and you just dicked yourself up. So like, like even when you shower, like your ass faces the wall. You face your back to the wall and you're facing everybody else. You shower like that, like, and then if you have to face, you cover your ass. Like you put your hand, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what you do. Yeah, What are some of the?
I wonder.
There's a shooting game. There's like just like fuck games. You know what I'm saying? Like fucking ways that I can get you to rush me and make it look like you're the aggressor, I guess, or like yeah, or say something came up missing, and I'm like, oh hell nah, somebody just tried to jack me. Fuck that shit. Walk up to the day room, turn off the TV in front of everybody, and be like, yo, fuck your dead homies if you took my shit.
Damn.
Now you just threw a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Now whoever took your shit has to 100% jump up and take flight.
So if somebody knows the guy that took your shit,
they're looking at that fool like,
who's that?
That fool just shot at your dead homies, dog. Yeah, you better get up and go handle that right there, dog. You can't let somebody throw a fuck at you like that and not handle that. You know what I'm saying? So it's immediate, like right there in front of everybody, right there in the day room, in front of the staff and everybody, dog.
And if he doesn't do it, then he gets blown up.
He gets dropped level.
Who else gets dropped level? His car?
Maybe not, because they're the ones that are gonna fucking drop him.
Oh, okay.
So they're gonna look at him like, what the fuck? That fool fucking blasted your dead ass homies, your dead ass family, all that shit. Like fuck your grandma, fuck your dead ass grandma. All of that, dog. You know, fools is just going on a mad tirade.
And you're 16 years old.
Yeah.
And you're playing that game with 25-year-olds.
Some of them, yeah. Some of them as old as 25 years old. You know, so you got grown ass men. Yeah. In some cases, programming alongside young younger men, teenage boys and shit, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds. You know, so yeah, it can get kind of dicey under those circumstances. So, but yeah, you know, those are the kind of games that like, you know, that you play. That's why you don't go there. You know, that's why, you know, it's only for.
So 1 out of 5 stars, that wouldn't recommend to others.
you get no stars on that. It's not. Yeah, I was trying to avoid that shit. I was trying to avoid that. I ended up exactly where I didn't want to be.
See how it's a rating. See why.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. You know, but it's young. You know, younger men, all trying to make a name for themselves. Testosterone running up like crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like you're at like your body's making all these changes, and there's no female outlet or like, you know what I mean, any kind of female interaction. So it's just like motherfuckers are just ready to tear everything apart. You know, and yeah, it's like the environment there. It makes it so that you just like perpetually get stuck there. And I've seen people with like YA numbers go there with like, all right, if you do good, you can get out in a year and a half, and end up flipping that to like 7 years and maxing out when they're 25. Unlike the first month, you know what I mean? The first couple months, you just flipped all this time. You could have gotten out, but that's not the way this shit works. You know,
it's designed to.
It's yeah. The way the atmosphere breeds that kind of like constant people testing you, constantly like heart checking you. See, fucking, are you a wolf? You know what I mean? Because if you're any kind of sheepdog, you're just gonna be victimized. You know, and it's that kind of environment, like hyper violent environment, you know.
Well, that's gonna conclude today's Tales with Theo X.
Yeah, your stories with your Uncle X.
Yeah,
don't go to jail.
Don't go to jail.